안녕하세요. That's hello in Korean and welcome to Talk to Me in Korean. And this video is perfect for you if you're just starting out with Korean and want to learn how to read it. The Korean writing system is called Hangeul and it's one of the most logical and easy to learn writing systems in the world. In fact, it is so straightforward that we are confident that you can learn it in just 1 hour. This is originally a course published on our course platform, but since more and more people are becoming interested in learning Korean, we wanted to share this full course with you to make it easier for you to get started. So grab your pen and paper or just follow along and let's go. 안녕하세요. Welcome to Talk to Me in Korean's Learn to Read and Write in Korean. This is lesson 1 of this course on the writing system of the Korean language, which is called Hangeul. Once again, Hangeul, and I am your host for this course, Hyunwoo-sun or Sun Hyunwoo in Korean. Through this course, you will understand how to read Korean letters and know how to pronounce most new Korean words you encounter. Of course, taking this course alone won't automatically make you fluent in Korean or even have perfect pronunciation, but you will at least have a solid foundation for your future Korean learning, and you will be able to rely less and less on romanization and just read everything in Hangeul as is. So again, Hangeul is what we are learning through this course, and that's the name of the writing system of the Korean language, Hangeul. And once you understand the rules of Hangeul, you will also be able to read hundreds, if not thousands, of Korean loanwords. Loanwords are words that came from other languages, mainly English, and you will be able to guess their meanings. So if you are ready, let's begin lesson 1. In this lesson, we are going to learn one consonant and some basic vowels. If you're not familiar with the terms consonants and vowels, really quickly, vowels are sounds like a, e, I, o, u, and consonants are sounds like s, t, k, f, etc. And while referring to these consonants and vowels in the Korean language, we're going to call them letters or characters. They're the same thing in this course, and the actual blocks that the letters form are going to be called syllables. Syllables, okay? Please keep that in mind. And another thing that you need to remember before you learn more Hangul is that Korean letters, Hangul letters, are written in square blocks. What does that mean? You can always look at a Korean syllable or a Korean letter, or syllables in this case specifically, and divide it into at least 2 or more components that are put together to form a square boxy shape. Okay, so let's take a look at some examples. Look at this letter here. It says ah, ah. You don't have to be able to read it now. Just repeat after me. Ah, ah. As you can see, it can be divided into the left-hand side and the right-hand side, and it forms a box. The left character is a consonant and the right character is a vowel. Now, how about this one? U, u. The circular character at the top is a consonant and the character below it is a vowel. If you compare a and u, the vowel in a is a vertically long shape, so it won't fit into a box if the vowel is below the consonant. So it sits next to it. For the same reason, since u is a horizontally long vowel, relatively speaking, it's placed below the consonant. Okay? Another example, san, san. The first letter is a consonant and the second letter is a vowel, and below this combination you see another consonant. To fit everything into this square section or space, you write the upper 2 letters in a slightly shorter form. So that's all you need to know for now, and let me just show you some more variations of Korean syllables. You don't have to memorize anything, just take a look at them for reference for now. Let's learn some basic vowels now. So in the Korean language, there are 10 basic vowels and then there are compound vowels, several vowels put together as one. And for now, we are just going to look at these 6. To a complete beginner's eye, these letters might look very random, but they do share certain common elements and they can be understood fairly logically. Within these 6 vowels, as well as some other Korean vowels, you will find these 3 elements. The long horizontal line represents the earth or land, and the small dot represents the sky, and the vertical line represents a human being. You combine these three elements to form various types of Korean vowels like this. For example, by putting the dot either above or below the horizontal line, you see two possibilities, this one or this one. In modern Korean, for convenience, instead of just drawing a dot, you simply draw an attached line like this instead of a dot, okay? So if you're following me so far, you're now ready to learn your first Korean vowel, and it is this one. One very easy way to remember the sound of this vowel is to imagine it as the mouth of an unhappy person. Just imagine two eyes above it, like that. You're not very happy about whatever it is you're seeing, so you go like that. Now, in real life, you don't have to emphasize it so much, so just make the sound a little more comfortably. Okay, so and you don't have to be unhappy about anything. Okay? This sound doesn't really exist in English, but it's very commonly used in the Korean language, especially when you learn loan words from other languages. So when there is a standalone consonant in the word like box or card, you can add the sound at the end to make it Koreanized like 박스 or 카드. So it's very useful to know. Again, what kind of face? An unhappy face. Practice and remember. Now, moving on to the next vowel, it's this one, a vertically long line. An easy way to remember this is to think of it as the capital alphabet letter I. Similar, right? I. And as you know, sometimes the letter I can be pronounced like E, right? Although it's more like E, as in read or speed, you can see the similarity between the sound of E, the Korean vowel, and the alphabet letter I. Remember the Korean vowel E as the sound E. And so far, you have learned two vowels. In actual usage, though, Korean vowels are rarely used alone without a consonant. You know what sound it's supposed to make, but it's just not natural because there's always a consonant before a vowel in actual usage, or at least a placeholder consonant. This one, this circle-shaped consonant, is actually exactly that. It's called 이응. The name of this consonant is 이응, and you don't have to know that for now. And if you see it at the beginning of a syllable, it doesn't have any sound value. It's just used as a placeholder. So from now on, let's add this particular consonant to every vowel we learn, okay? So, do you remember what sound this vowel makes? Yes, Let's write it along with the placeholder consonant. And it's Repeat after me, And remember this vowel, the vertically long line? Now try reading this one. Yes, E. Repeat after me, E. All right, you're doing a great job so far, and we are going to learn just 4 more vowels in this lesson and we'll be done. Now let's take this vowel and add, do you remember the dot element? By placing the dot element or a protruding line, you can form these two vowels, O and U. O and U. There isn't really a best way to remember these vowels, but one way I recommend is this. From the vowel put your lips forward a little bit to form a circle, and you have the sound O, like this. O. That's O, okay? And you push your lips even more forward and the sound becomes U, like this. O, U. Middle, top, bottom. Remember these vowels in this order. O, U, okay? And of course, these are also written with the placeholder consonant 이응. So let's try reading them one more time. O, U. Amazing! There's just one more pair of vowels that you need to learn before you finish this lesson, and they are and A. Just like with O and U, which branched out from these vowels branch out from the vowel E. Try reading these out loud with me. I'll add the placeholder consonant 이응 too, okay? A. Make the sound E like I'm doing now, E, and open your mouth a little bit more to say And then open your mouth a little bit more, even wider, to say A. Left to right, okay? The protruding line on the left, right next, A, okay? A. Middle, top, bottom, U. Middle, left, right, A. And like that, you have successfully learned one Korean consonant, which is the placeholder consonant iung, and 6 vowels in this lesson. And before we finish this lesson, let's quickly review what we learned so far. The Korean writing system is called Hangeul, and that's what we are learning in this course, okay? Hangeul. And Hangeul letters are written in square blocks. You also learned that the circular shaped consonant, which is called iung, is a placeholder, and you also learned these 6 vowels. If you need to rewatch this lesson to review, please feel free to do so. And if you understood everything clearly, we'll see you in the next lesson. 감사합니다. Welcome everyone to the second lesson in this course, Learn to Read and Write in Korean. In the previous lesson, you learned 1 consonant and 6 vowels in the Korean writing system, Hangeul, and today you will learn some new consonants. And of course, there will be some memorization that you need to do in order to, well, remember them, but compared to the vowels, consonants are going to be easier for you to understand and easier for me to explain in terms of why a certain letter makes a certain type of sound. You will see what I mean very soon. Please take a look at these consonants. The names of these consonants or these letters are 기역, 니은, 디귿, 리을, 미음, 비읍, 시옷, but you don't have to worry about the names of these letters. It's more important to understand how they are pronounced, so let's focus on that first now. And this is the exact order in which you will see them when Korean consonants are listed in the, let's say, alphabetical order, okay? 가나다라 order. But in this lesson, we're going to present them in a slightly different order to make it easier for you to understand everything and learn everything. Please take a look at the first consonant that we're going to cover, and it's called 기역, 기역. The names of the consonants don't matter now, but I will keep mentioning them and introducing them just for your reference, okay? And imagine looking at the side profile of a person's face, like that, from the side. This letter represents the shape of your tongue when you make this sound. G, g, g. The upper back portion of your tongue temporarily blocks the flow of air from your throat, so it makes this shape. Similar sounding consonants in English are G and K. The 기역 sound is neither exactly G nor K, and it's its own sound, so please pay close attention to it and keep practicing. And instead of learning a consonant standalone or independently, it's always better to learn it in connection with a vowel because that's how you will actually use all of the consonants. So let's add the vowels you have already learned in the previous lesson after this consonant. Listen carefully and repeat after me. The upper back portion of your tongue blocking the air in the back, okay? Plus these vowels. It's going to be G, 고, 구, 기, 거, 가. Notice how the same consonant 기역 changes its shape or font type slightly to fit into the given empty space next to or above the vowel. Now, if you understand 기역 and how it's pronounced the way it is or why it's pronounced the way it is, you can add an extra stroke to it to form this consonant. It's called 기역, 기역. We'll see this kind of stroke adding with many other Korean consonants, and you can think of adding one more stroke like this as changing the sound slightly by adding more friction or vibration or limiting the flow of air. Here's what I mean. You remember this consonant, right? 기역. Do you remember the vowel? 으, 으. Put them together and read this. It's 그, 그. Now, when you add one stroke to 기역 and write it like this, it becomes what's called a plosive sound with more friction and more explosiveness. Compare these two sounds. Let's use a different vowel for now. 아, okay? 아, 가, 가, 카, 카, 가, 카. The first one is not exactly, but kind of like GA, and the second one is also kind of like KA, 가 and 카. And you can go one step further with this by writing 기역 twice. Yes, it's a double consonant. When you type in Korean, you can type this letter by typing 기역 twice or using the shift key. And how does it sound? Like this. 가, 카, 까. Regular, more friction, even more friction. Again. 가, 카, 까. Or in other words, regular, high pitch, also high pitch. Now, using this knowledge, let's try reading some actual Korean words. 고기, 고기, 거기, 거기, 가구, 가구, 기구, 기구, 기가, 기가. Okay, now let's learn another consonant, and it's this one. Again, imagine the side profile of a face and try to pronounce N-A. Your tongue will form this shape, right? You can remember this letter like that. It sounds similar to the alphabet letter N. But even though it sounds similar to the letter N, or you can say na like that, unlike with N, which you pronounce by placing the tip of your tongue further up, with this Korean letter, you put your tip of your tongue right behind your upper teeth, or even almost between your upper and lower teeth. So it's a little lower. Let's practice using some vowels. Na, 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 instead of na, 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 right? No, 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 and not na, na, na. No, no, no. Ni, n, nu. You see the difference. Now, if you understand this consonant, we are going to apply the same principle of adding an extra stroke. To this consonant nian, let's just add this one line at the top to make it look like this. This is called 디귿. It goes from na, na, na to one more line at the top, da, da, da. It went from an N-like sound to a D or TH-like sound. From the softer na, you change it to the more abrupt and emphasized da, da, da. Let's compare these two sounds with several vowels. Na, na, da, da. No, no, do, do. Nu, nu, du, du. N, n, d, d. The letter D in many English words, when they are changed to Korean loan words, become this consonant, okay? Like drum becoming 드럼, or board game becoming 보드 game. And from here, you can go one step further and add one more line like this. Na, na, ta, ta, and now ta, ta. It's almost like a T sound, right? Na, na, ta, 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 ta. Least friction, more friction, even more friction. Na, ta, ta. Regular, more effort, most effort. Some other variations. No, to, nu, du, tu. And lastly, you can double the consonant 디귿 and use 쌍디귿 like that. And it sounds like ta. Let's compare these four. Na, ta, ta, ta. Do you see the pattern here? Whenever you get lost and, for example, look at this letter and don't remember exactly what it sounded like, you can start from ni은, the original starting point, and go, one step further each time like that. Na, ta, ta. Ah, okay. Na, da, ta, ta. Like that. And now we have just a few more consonants to learn in this lesson, and the next one is also very easy to learn and remember. It's called 리을, and you can see that it's a curved shape, okay? Kind of like the number 2 or the alphabet letter Z. You write it like that in various fonts. And the pronunciation of this letter is R, 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 with vowels ra, ra, ro, ru, ro, ru, r, ri. It's a bit similar to the rolling R sound, like R, and when two of these are linked together back to back between consonants or between syllables, it's also pronounced kind of like the letter L. For example, words like cola or close. So when you see this, think of the curved shape and think of the rolling R sound, okay? That'll make it easier for you to remember this one. And lastly, we have this square-shaped letter to work with. It's called mium, and since it's a square or a box, therefore it's closed on all four sides, it represents your mouth being closed, your lips sealed. What kind of consonant sound can you make with your lips closed like this? With this one, you say m, m, m. Very similar to the English M sound. Let's practice. Mo, ma, m, mo, mu, mi. And like we did with other consonants, we're also going to be adding some extra strokes to this one to form new related consonants. To this box-shaped letter, let's add two short lines this time at the top. It becomes this one. You start from the same mouth shape with your lips closed, but this time you add more vibration, more power to it, make the sound more abruptly. You get a sound that's similar to the English B with vowels ba, bi, bu, bo, bu. Let's compare this with mium. Ma, pa, ma, pa. And we're going to add two more lines again this time and make it look like that. The directions of the attached lines have slightly changed, but it went from 0 extra lines to 2 lines and to 4 lines. You see the gradual pattern. Piup, piup is the name of this one, and it has a P sound. So it goes from ma, ba, pa, ma, pa, pa, or mi, bi, P. Regular, more effort, and even more effort and higher pitch. And then there's also this double consonant, 쌍비읍, which sounds like B. Let's compare. Ma, pa, pa, pa. Do you see the gradual change? M, B, P, B. 피읍 and 쌍비읍, the B sound, have high pitches because they require more effort to pronounce. And that is it for this lesson. You learned a lot of new consonants today, and many of them are related to each other. Let's review by reading some actual Korean words this time. You don't have to try to memorize any of them for now. Just focus on being able to read them along with me and understanding the rules, okay, the pronunciation rules only, all right? 나, 다, 더, 나라, 다리, 바다, 보라, 보리, 아빠, 아마. Great job! Let's call it a lesson. Please take a break, review if you want to, and I will see you in the next lesson. 감사합니다. Hello again. How is the course going so far? Keep watching, and at the end of this 1-hour course, you will be able to recognize, read, and pronounce Korean words. And once you finish this Hangeul course, there is a full learning path waiting for you, designed to help you reach your Korean fluency goals. And we will be helping you all along the way with various tools and resources. So just know that that's on the horizon. Now, let's go back to the course. Welcome to lesson 3. You learned quite a few consonants in the previous lesson, and we can actually safely say that you have learned already the majority of Korean consonants so far. We have just a few more consonants to introduce in this one, so this lesson will be a shorter one than the previous one, okay? So no pressure, no stress, just enjoy learning the new letters with me, all right? So before we learn new letters, let's quickly review everything that we've learned so far. I'm going to just show you all the letters and syllables you can probably read already. And if you miss a couple of letters here and there and can't recall the pronunciation perfectly every time, please don't worry about that either. Through more practice and review, you will be able to read everything comfortably and quickly eventually. So you've learned to read these letters and syllables. 으, 오, 우, 이, 어, 아, 가, 카, 까, 나, 다, 타, 따, 마, 바, 파, 빠, 라. And in this lesson, we're going to look at these consonants. Let me show them to you first. And as you can guess by now, they are also related to each other like the ones we previously introduced. So you won't have to memorize them all separately, okay? First, let's take a look at this character. It's called 시옷, and it represents the sound of s, like S, okay? An effective way to associate this letter with the sound of S is to imagine these as the two eyes of a smiling face. And also you can guess the pronunciation from the word itself, smile, like smile. Get it? So let's practice. 사, 서, 서. It's slightly softer than the English S sound. 소, 스. And from the letter 시옷, you can branch out to these other consonants. You add an extra stroke on top of 시옷 and make this one. 지읒. 지읒 is what it's called. You're adding more friction to it like you did with other consonants. The sound is somewhere between CH and J, but not exactly either. So pay close attention to the original pronunciation. 자, 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 주, 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 저, 저, 저. And you add one more stroke on top like this to form this one. 치읓. 치읓 is the name. 사, 자, and then 차. 사, 자, 차. Do you see the difference and the progression? 소, 조, 초. Regular, more friction, even more friction. 스, 즈, 츠, like that. And then you have two double consonants related to these this time, and they are this one, 쌍시옷, and this one, 쌍지읒. 사 becomes sa when you write 시옷 twice, and 자 becomes 짜 when you write 지읒 twice, and then you have 차. The pronunciation difference between 시옷 and 쌍시옷 can be a little bit tricky at first, but will become easier with practice. So for now, just note that they are different. 사, 싸, 소, 소. You add more emphasis and let less air escape through the gap between your tongue and the ceiling of your mouth. But the difference between this and this can be a little bit harder to tell at first. Double 지읒 or 쌍지읒, it's a stronger version of 지읒, so it's higher pitched and more forced, and 치읒 is closer to the CH sound in English. And of course, the best way to distinguish them is by hearing them a lot side by side, and we're going to do that right now. 자, 짜, 차. 자, 차, 짜. 조, 쪼, 조, 쪼. 조, 초, 조, 초. Lastly, 주, 추, 주. Do you see the difference? As long as you get a general understanding, that's good enough for now. Awesome. So now we have just one more pair of consonants to learn in this lesson, and you already know one of them. It's the circle. It's the circular shape placeholder consonant called 이응. 이응. Do you remember this one? When it is at the beginning of a syllable, it has no sound value. So it just shows you that a consonant should be there. But when it's at the end of a syllable like this, it does have a sound value, but we'll cover that later. So 이응 for now is just an empty sound. It has no sound value, so whatever vowel you put next to or below it will be pronounced as is. 어, 아, 오, 우, etc. And then you can form a new consonant by adding not one but two strokes this time above the circle like this. 이응 is an empty sound, and these two added lines symbolize more friction when you let out air through your mouth, which is exactly the same as the H sound in English. 아, 하, or 호, 호, 오, 호. Okay, you have successfully learned all of the various consonants that are used in the Korean language. Let's review everything really quickly by reading some actual Korean words. Repeat out loud after each word I read, okay? 사자, 사자. 하마, 하마. 라마, 라마. 가자, 가자. 가짜, 가짜. 아하, 아하. 너무, 너무. 나무, 나무. 고무, 고무. 우주, 우주. Great job, everyone. Let's call it a lesson for now. Please feel free to review this lesson or any other lesson if you need to, and I will see you in the next one. 감사합니다. Welcome back. This is lesson 4, and you have already learned all of the consonants of the Korean language as well as many vowels. In this lesson, we're going to learn even more vowels, and these are what we are calling compound vowels, okay? Compound vowels, because they are all combinations of the vowels you have already learned. To all those syllables, we're going to be adding the placeholder vowel iung, the circle, which has no sound value. So far you have learned these 6 vowels. Let's review. Which can be remembered by the unhappy face resemblance. Extra line protruding above it, o. Extra line below it, u. This vertical line, e, which can be remembered by how it looks like the alphabet letter I. Extra line to the left, o. Extra line to the right hand side, a. And now we are going to combine these 6 vowels into other various combinations. First, let's combine these two, o and a. When you put these two together, it becomes wa, 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 kwa, hwa. This one is fairly straightforward, right? O and a, wa. It's a no-brainer, o, wa, wa, wa. And next, u and o can come together. Wa, 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 quo, tuo, mo. Now, we just looked at o plus a and u plus o, right? And you can only combine o with a and not with o. And in fact, if you did try to combine o plus o, it would end up becoming a different vowel, and it would become wo, wo. So out of these 4 vowels, o, u, o, a, the only 2 possible combinations are wa and wo. And next up is this one, e, e, e. It's a combination of a plus e. This one is not as straightforward as wa or wa, but think of it as a, I, as in fair, like e, ke, te, pe, pe, pe. And a similar compound vowel is this one. It's pronounced like e, e. The sound difference between e and e is quite subtle, since e is a combination of a and e, and you open your mouth wider for a than o, you remember it like that, right? E is bigger than e, in principle. But the thing is, in day-to-day conversations, day-to-day spoken Korean, you won't need to tell the difference between these 2 sounds. You just need to differentiate them by their different spellings. So for example, 대 and 대 are 2 completely different words with different spellings, but they can sound very, very similar or almost identical to most people, and that's fine. And we have just 4 more compound vowels to cover, so let's pick up the pace. 왜, 왜. This one is a combination of u and 에, which we just learned. 우, 에, 우. If you pronounce everything quickly together, 왜, 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 괴, 회. And this one consists of o and e, but the pronunciation is not something you can easily predict. It's not oi, 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 right? It's actually the same sound as this one, 왜. If you try really hard, you can sort of make it work like oi, 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 oi. But if it doesn't work for you, you will just have to memorize this one, okay? 왜, 괴, 괴, 쇠, 쇠. And this one is o plus 에, so it's easy to guess. It's 왜, 왜. So these 3 compound vowels all share the same sound. 왜, 왜, 왜. 왜, 왜, 왜. 괴, 괴, 괴. Again, they are different letters, just with the same sound by coincidence. So meaning-wise, not the same at all. All right? Just 2 more left, okay? 2 easy ones. This one is u plus e. So it's we, we, we. 위, 귀, 휘, 뒤. 귀 is the ear, by the way. And this one is plus e. So it's 의, 의, 의. To sound more natural, try pronouncing a little longer than the following e. 의, 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 의. All right, that's it for this lesson. You did a great job. Let's quickly review everything that we went over together before we wrap up. O plus a, 와, 와. U plus O, wo, wo. A plus E, 에. O plus E, 에. U plus 에, 왜. O plus E, 왜. O plus 에, 왜. U plus E, 위, 위. 으 plus E, 위. Amazing. Let's take a break here. See you in the next lesson. 감사합니다. Welcome back. This is lesson 5, and so far you have learned how to recognize and read all of these Korean consonants and vowels. These letters are much more logically designed and easier to understand and remember than many other writing systems. But whenever you need to review any portion of the course, please pause this lesson or any part of this course and feel free to review. It is more important to thoroughly understand everything than to try to finish the course in a hurry. You have learned so much already, and you need to just clear 2 more steps before you can say that you understand how Hangul works. You just need more practice, that's all. Alright? And those 2 steps are the concept of the Y sound in Hangul and the final consonants or ending consonants. We'll talk about how to add the Y sound in Hangul in this lesson. And by the Y sound, I mean this. What is the difference between these 2 sounds? A, ya. L, yell. O, yo. It's the added Y sound I'm talking about. And you can add that extra Y sound to Korean vowels by adding a short additional line. It's super easy to understand, so let's go. This doesn't work with every Korean vowel, but it does work with many of them. So take the vowel A and look at which is the main stem line and which is the additional line. The vertical line is the main stem, right? So to that, you add 1 more short line like this to make the vowel look like that. And it sounds like ya, ya instead of a. So let's compare side by side. A, ya, na, nya, kya, kya, kya. Similarly, you can change o to yo by adding 1 more line. So from 1 line to 2 lines, o, yo, ko, kyo, ho, hyo, to, pyo. You get the idea. So you apply this rule to all of these vowels. O, yo, u, what does it become? U, e, ye, ye. Easy, right? Only these 6 vowels can have this added Y sound. Again, a, o, u, e, ya, yo, yu, ye. This one was fairly easy to understand, right? Let's do a quick review by reading everything together, okay? Please read everything out loud after me. A, ya, ko, kyo, no, nyo, tu, tyu, e, ye, he, he. That was awesome. Great job, everyone. Please take a break now, and I will see you in the next lesson. 감사합니다. Welcome back. This is lesson 6, and after completing this one, you will have learned all of the elements of the Korean writing system, which is called, again, what is it? Hangul. Hangul. Beyond that, it's just a matter of practice and review. You can already recognize and read the majority of all the possible syllables in the Korean language, and you just have 1 more step to unlock. And that concept is the final or ending consonants, and they're called 받침 in Korean. The name 받침 comes from 받치다 in the dictionary form, which means to support something from below, 받치다. You can think of them as the equivalent of the letter N in the word run or the letter T in the word hat, okay? It's the final consonant in the syllable. Take a look at this word, 고, 고. On its own, at least for now, it doesn't mean anything, okay? But if you add mim as the final consonant here like this, the square shape consonant, it becomes 곰, which now means a bear, the animal. Let's take a look at a few more words with ending consonants and see how the layout inside each square block of syllables changes. Now, take a look at this. 채, and then we're going to add 기역 at the bottom to form 책. It means a book. 미음, 우, 무, and we add 리을 at the bottom to form 물. 물 means water. 사, and we add 니은 at the bottom, it becomes 산. It means a mountain. 바다 as another example, it means the sea, the ocean. And if we add 리을 to both syllables, it becomes a different word. 발 plus 달, 발달 means development. Okay, so far these were all consonants that you already knew. So let me introduce a new one. And it's this one. Well, yes, it's the same placeholder empty sound value consonant that you already saw earlier in the course, but when it's used at the end of a syllable as the final consonant, as 받침, it does have a sound value. And it makes the NG equivalent sound, like in sing, king, or King Kong, or hang, etc. So, 고 plus 이응, it becomes 공, which means a ball. 빠 plus 이응, 빵, it means some bread, okay, bread. Let's try reading all of these together. 노, 농, 두, 둥, 비, 빙, 와, 왕, 해, 행. Great job. And when you deal with these final consonants, you will see an interesting phenomenon. So to understand this, let's look at these 4 different syllables. They all start with ka, and then they end with different consonants. The 4 final consonants, when they are pronounced on their own or at the beginning of a syllable, they all sound differently. They have different pronunciations, right? The, s, z, ch. But when you actually read these complete syllables with these consonants at the end, they sound like this. 갓, 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 갓. So why is this? This is because with Korean syllables with the final consonants, 받침, at the end of a syllable, if you don't have an empty vowel coming right up next, you don't carry over the sound of the final consonant. You know the sound of 시옷, but you don't say gas, but just stop at kat because you're not allowed to say anything after that. So that's why it ends up sounding exactly like the other 3 syllables, kat, kat, kat. But when you have an empty vowel following right after, like kat plus e, you do pronounce it like kashi. That's the basic rule, and you can actually learn more about these sound change rules in more detail through our other course, Korean Pronunciation Guide. So please be sure to check that out after you finish this course. It'll be a great help. And now we're almost done with the final consonants of the Korean language and almost done with Hangul itself, but there's just one more thing that I would like to introduce in this lesson, and it's the dual final consonants. Sometimes you will see words like this. This is il, this is ik, and what is this? How do you read it? The answer is it depends on what follows it, as with other final consonants that we just talked about earlier, right? And you will need to learn this through practice. Nothing major to worry about though. You can feel free to read these words in the way you think you should, and if you're right, you're right, and if you read it wrong, that's fine too. You will know, or someone will tell you, and you can read it in the correct way the next time. So when it's written like this, you basically read from left to right and top to bottom. So you read 이응 first, and then the vowel E, so it's E, and you go to the third and fourth, 리을 and 기역. But you don't read both final consonants when they're like this. So you read it like 읽다, 읽다. So in this case, the third consonant, 리을, is not pronounced. So 읽다, it's the dictionary form of the verb for to read. But when you see this, because all has an empty sound in the beginning, the 기역 can carry over. Now it becomes 읽어요. This means I read, you read, he or she reads, or they read in the present tense, okay? So you can think of the following empty vowel as a vehicle that can carry the final consonant over to the next syllable. Just one more set of examples really quickly. 널, 넙, and what about this one? On its own, it sounds like 널 because you can't carry that 비읍 over because there's no vehicle. But when it's written like this, 넓어요, 널, and and 요, you can read it like 넓어요 because there's a vehicle that carries the 비읍 over to the next syllable. And that's it. You have learned all the basic rules of Hangul and you can now pretty much read everything that's written in Korean. You won't know the meaning of everything automatically, of course, but that's a great start. You don't have to rely too heavily, if not at all, on romanization as you take your first Korean lessons. So this is the end of the lesson portion of this course, and in the following lessons, we will practice and review, and then also go over the basic stroke orders of Hangul. So please take a break now. You can take a long one, and I will see you in the next review lessons. See you there. Welcome back, everyone. This is a review and practice session. Everybody learns at a different pace, so by now you might have completely understood everything and be able to read Hangul letters really comfortably, or you might be able to quickly read some letters but not every letter. So don't worry if there are some letters that you are on the verge of understanding but still keep forgetting. We are going to review everything we have learned together so far and try reading some actual Korean words as well as many useful loan words in the Korean language. In other words, words that came from other languages, mainly English. I'll give you a letter or a syllable and wait for you to try reading it yourself, and then I will give you the correct pronunciation and I want you to repeat after me, okay? Let's go. And now, o. How about this one? Ko. And now, ki. Together, 고기. Next, what is this one? 날. And this one is 시. It's the double 시옷 sound. 시. And together it becomes 날씨. And next, 와. And with a 받침, 왕. And next, this one, 자. And together it becomes, yes, 왕자. Great, and now let's read some Korean loanwords that came from the English language. These are words that are actually used on a daily basis in the Korean language, so they will be very useful to know. Try reading the words yourself and guessing the meaning, and then I will give you the correct pronunciation and then the meaning too. Can you read this one? Yes, it's radio, which means radio. You know, when you listen to the radio, it's radio 들어요. And this one, 비디오, which means video. And next, try reading this one. Europe, which means Europe. And next, game, video games or other types of games. And in reality, in Korean, it's often pronounced as game. And next, 카드, which means a card, as in a credit card or a transportation card. And next, can you read this one? Piano. And this one is a little bit of work to decipher. I'll give you a second. It's computer, which means, obviously, a computer. Okay, and next. Hamburger, which means a hamburger. And lastly, let's try reading this one. This one is not a loan word from English, it's a Korean phrase, and it sounds like this. 감사합니다. And more naturally, when you read it quickly, it sounds like 감사합니다. And it means I thank you. And thank you so much for taking this course and studying with us. And please, take a break, and I will see you in the next lesson where we will go over how to actually handwrite all the Hangul letters that you've learned so far. See you there. 감사합니다. 안녕하세요. Welcome to the last lesson in this course, how to read and write in Korean. Throughout the lessons in this course, you have learned all the consonants and vowels that are found in the Korean writing system, Hangeul. So you are officially a Hangeul master. And in this lesson, we're going to look at how to handwrite the Korean letters. Okay, so one rule to remember. Just go from top to bottom, left to right. I'll show you what I mean. Top to bottom, left to right in general. So let me show you some consonants that you already know how to read. So 기역, 키읔, and 쌍기역. How do you write this? Top to bottom, left to right. So when you look at this consonant right here, you don't want to go necessarily from bottom to top or right to left. That's inconvenient and quite unnatural if you think about it, because like with many writing systems in the world, like in many languages, you write from left to right in Korean. So very naturally, you go from the far left end of the consonant and end right there, okay? And because you know that ki역, this consonant, actually stemmed from 기역, so you write 기역 first and then add the additional line. So once again, 기역, 키읔, okay, very easy. And then if you want to write the double 기역, it's just the same thing repeated one more time. All right? Let's move on to the next set of consonants. We start with 니은. So top to bottom, very easily, you start from here, okay, and then you go all the way down there to the bottom right. So 니은, and a related consonant was 디귿. So it started from 니은, but you want to start at the top because you go from top to bottom. So draw the top line horizontally and then write the rest of the consonant, or write 니은, and you have 디귿. So once again, you went from 니은 and then top first, and then you write 디귿, and then you go from 디귿 to 티귿, so you add the extra line in the middle, and then the double 티귿, 쌍티귿 is written like that. And this time a standalone consonant which is not related to any other consonant in the Hangul system, which is 리을, you write it like this. Some people write it like that, which is the correct stroke order. Some people just write it like this, in a more curvy, more speedy fashion. Some people write it like that. So it doesn't really matter. There are stroke orders that textbooks introduce and teach, but in real life handwriting situations, you just write in whichever way that suits you, and that's fine, okay? So if you are going to enter a professional calligraphy contest, maybe you need to pay close attention to the stroke orders, but in everyday situations, anything is fine. Just remember top to bottom, left to right. Let's move on. And next you start with 미음. 미음 is written like this. You start with the vertical line and then you write 기역, and you close the last side. That's a square or a rectangle, depending on what kind of font you want to use in your handwriting. And then you remember the additional lines you added to write 피읍. That's actually one line. That's considered as one line. So what you want to do is you go from top to bottom like that, and then draw the next vertical line, and then two horizontal lines. Once again, 피읍 is written like this. But once again, as long as the shape itself is correct, the order isn't as important as the shape itself. So if you were to write it like that nobody's going to, complain too much about it, right? So some people in handwriting write it like that even. It's very, very up to you. So the general order is the diagonal direction, top to bottom, left to right, but you can decide. The standard stroke order, once again, is like this. And some more consonants. We start from mium, remember, and then we went to piup, and then piup is written like this. And this is because piup has longer horizontal lines and shorter vertical lines in between, so you don't go like this, although you could and still make it, look fine, but you write it like that. Okay, piup, and then the double piup, sang piup is just piup repeated once again. How are you following so far? We just have a few consonants to cover before we talk about the vowels and then some actual Korean words. So please pay close attention. We have now 시옷 next. 시옷 is written like that. You write the left-hand side first and then the right-hand side next. 시옷, very straightforward. And then if you want to go to 지읒, you go with the top line first and then you write 시옷 like this. And some people in various situations, some people could write it like this, some people write it like that, so it's up to you, but the general rule still applies. So 시옷, 지읒, and then 치읒 had another extra line at the top, right? So you write the top line first and then write 지읒. I'm sure it's fairly easy. And there are two double consonants that we want to talk about, and they are double 시옷 and double 지읒. So 쌍시옷 and 쌍지읒. And the two remaining consonants that we want to look at are the circle shape iung and the related hiut. So iung, so some people write it the other way around, the clockwise direction, but the standard way to write it is counterclockwise, like that. You can make it a little more elongated, top to bottom, but it's up to you. As long as it's a circle, it's considered recognized as iung, and then you just draw two extra lines at the top and draw hiut. Okay, so that's iung and hiut. Let me show you one more time. So this is iung and this is hiut. Some people do also this depending on their preferences. So that's how you write iung and hiut. Now you're ready to move on to some vowels, and this time instead of just looking at individual vowels standalone, let's look at some actual words. So at this point, we don't really have to look at the vowels like I just said before. We need to look at the consonants and the vowels. And the vowels are pretty much the same in terms of following the general top to bottom, left to right approach, because vowels, as you know, are written like that, usually horizontal and vertical lines. There are no like curves, so like that. So you don't want to write the bottom line first and then kind of go all the way up. You could draw like that, and some children actually do that, but general rule is you write it like this. Left to right, top to bottom. So let's write this word. 강. 강 is a river, so you write 기역 first, 가, and then top to bottom, and left to right, and then the last one is at the very bottom, so you draw 이응, and that's a river in Korean. And a word that starts with 강 is also 강아지, a puppy. 강, we just looked at how to write that. Let's write 아. You draw 이응 first, and then you write 아. Top to bottom, left to right. 강아, and then 지. Okay? And as long as you can read and recognize and actually understand the Korean word, how you write it doesn't really matter as long as you keep this general rule, top to bottom, left to right. And these days, most people just get to type in Korean rather than do a lot of handwriting. But every chance you get, I strongly recommend that you do a lot of handwriting, especially when you work with our workbooks and fill in the blanks. So that way your handwriting will get better and better. So that was 강아지. And then let's move on to the next word, and that is Hangeul, the name of this very writing system that we are learning to write, Hangeul. So you go from left to right, top to bottom. So you write this one because it's at the far left, and like that, and that's one consonant, so you don't separate the strokes within one consonant. And then you write this vowel, ha, and then the final consonant at the bottom, Hangeul. and you go like that, 기억, and fairly easy, top to bottom. Now, let's write 친구, 친구. What is 친구? A friend. So, you write it like that, 친구. At this point, you can pretty much guess the stroke order of each word. So, you write 친구 like that, this side first because that's one consonant, and then the vowel E and 니은, 친, and 구 like that. Fairly easy. And lastly, we're going to say goodbye in this course to you guys, and we're going to keep it casual here in this slide. So we're going to write 안녕, 안녕. So let's write that. You write the far left corner first and write this vowel 아, 받침, 안녕. And that's how you write goodbye in casual language. So 안녕, 안녕. Let me make that a little more pretty. So 안녕. So that's it. We're gonna say goodbye here. This is how you write in Korean using the Hangeul writing system. It's very straightforward. So please keep studying. Please keep practicing. Thank you so much for using Talk to Me in Korean. 감사합니다. 안녕히 계세요. 네. 마지막에 안녕이 안 예쁘지만 제가 이거 혹시 모르니까 안녕만 다시 쓸게요. Wow, you just have completed this entire course on Hangeul, the Korean writing system. How do you feel about your progress so far? You did an amazing job making it all the way to the end of this course. So, what's next? Now that you have a foundational understanding of Hangeul, it's time for you to start learning Korean more systematically. Click the link below to continue your Korean learning journey with our easy-to-follow curriculum loved by millions of learners worldwide. I can't wait to see you in your next Korean lesson. See you soon. 감사합니다.